What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, certainly coming through once again with a brand new breakdown for Falcon and the Winter Soldiers. We're about to get into episode number 3, guys. We are halfway there. This is, in fact, the halfway mark to this particular season. I'm really hoping that we get more seasons after this. I've been so impressed with this show nonetheless. And I got to say, man, episode 3 certainly is no different than what we've gotten over the past couple episodes. Just really impressive stuff. I love all the attention, the detail. For me, I felt like, especially when it comes to episode 3 specifically, they really took a ton of Easter eggs and connections to past MCU movies, and not just any MCU movies, but like Winter Soldier, Civil War type of thing. I mean, some of the greats when it comes to the MCU films. We got a ton of just great connections, if you will, all throughout here. And I just continue to love the dialogue and just the depth of some of these storylines for a lot of these characters that we get to explore in here. And so episode 3 certainly does it again. I believe this episode was titled The Power Broker, which we still have a gigantic question mark as to who the Power Broker is. They definitely seem to be keeping that really close to the chest. Maybe it's somebody we've already seen before. Maybe it's a brand new character. Who certainly knows? But the Power Broker is certainly out there, and we get the opportunity to see Sam and Bucky this week trying to really find out exactly who the Power Broker is, and really who's making these super soldier serums, if you will, kind of going forward. So really great adventure that we wind up getting here this week, guys. But the first thing that we got to talk about here, just the opening of this episode, all the way up just the beginning couple of 5 minutes, that intro just before we get the tagline for the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Some really great stuff that we get introduced to here. We get to see, was it John Walker once again, our brand new AKA Captain America, trying to do his thing. And I gotta say, I'm really continuing to enjoy what Wyatt Russell is definitely doing as John Walker. This episode specifically really shows me that him being Captain America is definitely getting to him. I don't want to say maybe it's not as easy as he thought it was, because I don't think he ever expected to be a new Captain America as being easy. You know what I mean? But he's definitely seen a lot of pushback now, like almost as though nobody wants to accept him. Like if that was Steve Rogers, I'm pretty sure the guy would have given up the information like that, right? But it's almost as though this John Walker Captain America, people just look at him as just not a threat, not the real deal, if you will. And you can clearly see that maybe it's getting under John Walker's skin a little bit, right? Raising his voice, getting spat on. You can see him when he walks out, and you've got Battlestar, his Lamar, certainly trying to talk to him and stuff. His world is just all going crazy around him right now. It's almost like he can't really get a grasp of how this is kind of turning out, if you will. And I do think this is going to send John Walker down a little bit of a dark path by the end of this season. And I'm really expecting to see a showdown between Falcon and the Winter Soldier against Captain America and Battlestar, or maybe he's going to be U.S. agent by the end of this. Who certainly knows? But I just love the little brief moment that we had of Captain America in here, because it definitely looks as though things are starting to get to John Walker a little hot under the collar. Huh, there, Cap? Yeah, so maybe picking up that shield wasn't the best idea. A lot certainly comes along with it, but I thought that was a great little opening here. And then, of course, the decision-making here of Bucky to go ahead and break out Baron Zemo. First and foremost, I love the way that this moment was sort of shot, just the editing in general, the idea of them going to not only see Bucky going into the prison, or the cell, I should say, of Baron Zemo, but also editing it. And so we get a little bit of a back and forth of Bucky trying to explain a hypothetical to Sam, like, what if this a hypothetical situation wind up happening? I just loved how that hypothetical situation really plays itself out when you get to see how Baron Zemo winds up escaping, and just the editing of it back and forth as Bucky's trying to explain the story, as we see what Zemo's certainly up to, and then really just having it kind of all come full circle to have Zemo meet them in the room that Sam has no idea where they're certainly at, right? So I love the huge plan that Bucky wind up executing in here, and just his hypothetical explanation to it, and just great, I thought, direction and great way of editing and having that kind of all come together. Really made for a fantastic moment, hilarious and brilliant to kind of see Baron Zemo make his way out of the prison once again. I mean, Baron Zemo is just one of those characters that I feel like, especially after everything that's happened with Infinity War and Endgame, if you will, I definitely do think people are coming around to appreciating Baron Zemo a little bit more. You know, I heard some people complaining that maybe they didn't like his performance in Civil War. He didn't have any superpowers, sort of thing, right? Maybe a little bit boring. But I gotta tell you, the mind of Zemo is far from boring. I mean, you could see this man just thinking steps ahead, if you will, and that's one of the things that I love about him. You know, we've talked about this before in APlus Hero Report. Our appreciation for Baron Zemo, how much has grown over the years, considering the fact that he's the one man that single-handedly sort of dismantled the Avengers and really put them in sort of a really shitty situation to get ready for the arrival of Thanos, if you will, right? Had Baron Zemo not done what he did, and the Avengers still certainly seemingly together, maybe even more powerful, and coming together and things like that, maybe they probably would have had a better opportunity against Thanos. So Thanos definitely needs to give Baron Zemo some of the credit in regards to the dismay that our Avengers wind up finding themselves in when he wind up attacking. So for me, I really do love Daniel Brawl. I thought he was probably the star of this episode. As much as great as it is to always see Anthony Mackie and Sebastian together on screen, Daniel Brawl just brought it for me this week, and especially even Emily Van Camp, who comes back as a returning Sharon Carter. Was not expecting to see her in that way, but we'll definitely talk about her in a little bit. But again, a great nod. Daniel Brawl did a fantastic job. I love the fact that he tries to use some of the old words that really got to Bucky, right, to kind of get into his mind, have him controlled, if you will. New guy, but definitely the old words, if you certainly will. But I love their connections in here, and just carrying over that animosity and that history from Civil War to see what Baron Zemo was going to do next. I thought it was really brilliant, honestly. Let's see here. Well, so we definitely need to talk a little bit about Baron Zemo here also, because I love the fact that we get the opportunity to see Madripoor this week, which I thought was brilliant. For those of you who are not familiar with Madripoor, it is in fact a very well-known city, country, district, maybe in the Marvel comics, most notably known from X-Men, to be perfectly honest with you. So I am glad that they wind up finding some way to kind of throw in this city into our current MCU state, if you will. So I thought that was pretty neat, and it lived up to its qualities, honestly. Definitely, I think so. I think some people usually refer to it as like the most Isley Cantina over on Tatooine and Star Wars, right? Like bounty hunters, the bottom of the bucket sort of scum, if you will, just kind of all hide out there. I thought it was just really fantastically represented, and the colors really popped. While I definitely don't know if I belong in Madripoor, I definitely would love to party in Madripoor, because it definitely looked like they had a fantastic time. Even afterwards, when they were going to go ahead and meet up with Sharon, if I'm not mistaken, the idea that they were like, just Daniel over here as Baron Zemo, just, hitting that beat. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was pretty funny to kind of see even Baron Zemo sort of dancing in here. But I really loved all the stuff that we wind up getting in here. And honestly, for me, I really enjoyed just the scene of Baron along with Bucky and Sam on the jet plane, right? The idea that Baron is rich. We see his fancy cars that he winds up getting, grabbing that mask, nonetheless, also jumping on that G5 or G6 jet, whatever the case whatever he was flying. Love to see that Baron Zemo at least certainly still has his money. But I really enjoy just the conversation that those two or the three of them certainly had. A couple of things that we wind up getting brought up in here. The idea of Steve's book. I don't know how Baron Zemo got his hands on Steve's book, but it's exactly the same book that Bucky winds up using to kind of write in all of his notes, if you will, all the people that he's trying to make amends for. So I thought that was interesting that Bucky was using that same notebook that Steve certainly was, but great connection to the past also. And in that book as well, Sam winds up bringing up his conversations that he had with Steve about some of the things that he needed to catch up on, right? I think he suggested the Marvin Gaye album, which I thought it was great that even Baron Zemo had some appreciation for the Marvin Gaye album also. But it just brings back some really great memories of the Winter Soldier movie. for the second Captain America. You know, I believe he also had Star Wars and Star Trek in that same list. He had a bunch of stuff that he definitely had to, the Beatles maybe, that he certainly had to like listen to or catch up on, if you will, go ahead and be caught up to present time. So I thought that was a really great nod for them to kind of make that connection. But I really love just what Baron Zemo had to say, you know, since he has been a big proponent of trying to stop Winter Soldiers, trying to stop the idea of these big, powerful people kind of coming together and kind of controlling the world. I love just his viewpoint on the idea of how people tend to put some of their celebrities, or whatever the case may be, like tend to put people on pedestals, right? To the point to where they become symbols and icons, and we get so infatuated with them that we almost forget about their flaws, right? And I feel like, damn, I feel like if that's not present in our culture today, and just some of the things that we've kind of seen with putting your faith behind one particular person, right? And not, if not seeing their flaws, then not believing what other people say against them, sort of thing, right? Just being a fully impassioned by one particular person that just holds so much control over you. It's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous sort of situation. And I think we've seen some of that extremist, if you will, that ideology to just one person, especially here in the States, just really showcased brilliantly. And not just here, but I'm pretty sure other places across the world also. So I love the fact that he sort of brings that up. It's just an interesting point of view for him to certainly have. And maybe the shield is a symbol of that. You know what I mean? And we even get a great sort of conversation between Sam along with Bucky towards the end of the idea of that hunk of metal, right, doing a lot more damage than they probably wish that it would. You know, the idea of how important the shield certainly is and what it means to people, and the idea that maybe it's causing more problems than it is good at this particular point in time. I mean, even Sam goes to the lengths of talking about maybe burning it or destroying it, type of thing. So I love what Baron was talking about in regards to the idea of idolizing people and making them become icons, if you will, because it does feel very relevant to today, if you will. But again, when it comes to Zemo, the guy is just thinking one step ahead all the time. When he goes and he kills the professor in here, Wilfred Nagel, you know, I know why he kills him. Probably he doesn't want him to give out either any more information, or the one person that knows how to make the super soldier serum, get rid of them, right? Take them off the take them out of the equation, if you will. One less thing that you certainly have to worry about as you go forward. In this season, and less super soldiers for people to certainly have to worry about. So I really loved all the moves that Baron Zemo wind up doing in here, and I definitely do think that he's got more up his sleeve, to be honest with you. You know, whether or not he's leading Sam and Bucky into a trap, or if he's really trying to do his best to work alongside with them, who certainly knows. But I've really enjoyed everything that we saw here with Zemo, aka, or I should say, Daniel Brawl, aka Baron Zemo. I thought he did a fantastic job. Let's see here. I do also want to talk a little bit about Sharon Carter, because I got to say, Emily Van Camp, it is so good to certainly have you back. While I wasn't the biggest fan of her character in The Winter Soldier. I mean, I thought it was okay, you know, the way that they utilized her popping up again in Civil War briefly. I thought was was nice, a familiar face, nice to certainly see her, to say the least. But I got to say, talk about a new attitude. You know, the showrunners did come out recently and did an interview mentioning the idea that we were going to see a significantly different Sharon. This is not the Sharon I thought we were going to get. He was absolutely correct. She definitely has spent a lot of time in Madripoor. We've come to learn in here that she too has sort of been on the run, like Sam and Bucky certainly was. But she certainly wasn't brought back with open arms, if you will, right? Like nobody was there to certainly fight for her, kind of clear her name. And so she's kind of been on the run this entire time. And in the process has decided to live in Madripoor, and not just live in Madripoor, but really become one of the civilians out there, to the point to where she's might have gotten into some dirty shenanigans herself, selling real paintings or stealing real paintings for millions of dollars, if that's type of thing. So Sharon is definitely living the nice life over in Madripoor, despite just some of her neighbors, if you will. She definitely is well off, but it's really great to see her here a little bit with more of an attitude. This is a Sharon Carter that I think interests me a lot more than what I saw in The Winter Soldier or Civil War, honestly. So I'm really glad that they brought her back into the fold. The action sequences that she wind up having in here too, I thought were brilliant. You know, her little raid as a one woman army on some of the bounty hunters that were trying to hunt down our trio in here in this episode. I thought it was a really great showcase for Emily Van Camp and what she can certainly do when it comes to getting physical and having some amazing fight sequences. I thought that was really brilliant to see her take out all those people. Some of the gun moves, some of the hand-to-hand combat that she wind up having in here. Also, she really did go ahead and put a showcase on. But you know, I do love the fact that at least she's at least open to the idea of Sam helping her sort of clear her name. But there's a lot more going on here with Sharon Carter than she's even letting on. Like, a part of me wonders, is she still working for an organization? Like, is she in Madripoor, part of like a what is it called, a clandestine sort of mission, you know, undercover or whatever the case may be? Or has she really established herself as this character kind of going forward? You know, the fact that she has an escort to kind of, you know, drive her wherever she certainly needs to, makes me wonder what else she's certainly into, right? So I am wondering what the big scheme is here for Sharon Carter. You know, while we didn't get introduced to the power broker in this episode, a part of me is kind of it kind of wonders if Sharon is the power broker. And the only reason why I say that is once she winds up leaving our trio at the end of this episode, you know, she goes back to her driver and she says, we got to go. We've got a problem on our hands, or at least a couple of them. And when she says a couple of them, I'm assuming she's referring to Sam and Bucky. The fact that they found their way into Madripoor, maybe learned a little bit more information. I don't necessarily know if she's referring to Zemo or not. Who knows? I would think Zemo would know what the power broker looks like. He doesn't reference Sharon Carter as a power broker, but who certainly knows? I just think that she's into something else that we're not privy to at this point in time. I was a little bit bummed at the idea that she didn't stay around by the end of this episode. I was kind of hoping that she would stick with Bucky and Sam the rest of the way. But you know, whether or not she pops back up in this season, I certainly don't know. But I'm definitely under the impression that she certainly will. I definitely do think that there's more to Sharon Carter's story that's going to go ahead and be introduced to us. But right now, one of my speculations is the fact that Sharon is the power broker. But I really have no idea. It's a huge mystery. I'm kind of curious if it's a character that we've seen before, or again, somebody absolutely brand new that we've never been introduced to. But during this trip to Madripoor, we do have our trio here in Zemo, Bucky, and Sam being able to actually locate the scientist himself, being able to hunt down Wilfred Nagel. They wind up getting this information over at the Madripoor. I can't remember, was it the Princess Bar? I believe they wind up going into to go ahead and speak with Selby. I'm not exactly sure who kills Selby. I'm under the impression that maybe it was Sharon that kind of wind up killing her, and then also protecting Falcon and the Winter Soldier when they were running around Madripoor. Also, if you guys think somebody else killed Selby, definitely go ahead and let me know in the comment section box below. But we get to learn a couple of things here from the professor himself. The fact that not only does he work for the power broker, but he was actually brought in by Hydra after the Civil War events to try and work on recreating the super soldier serum. And then he winds up mentioning that after the fall of Hydra, the CIA, thanks a lot, government, right? The CIA bring him in to go ahead and try and create the super soldier serum also. And in the process, he winds up using some of the leftover experimentation from Isaiah Bradley's blood, wind up a blood sample from Isaiah Bradley, who we just got introduced to in the previous episode, in order to go ahead and create these other super soldiers. And he successfully does so. Not just one vial, not just 2 vials, but 20 vials of super soldier serum. I mean, this guy really went above and beyond to go ahead and try and bring back the super soldier project. And this is a big no-no for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even for Zemo, who cold-bloodedly just like takes this man out without some second thought, right? Get all the information that you can, and then boom, just get rid of him. But really talks about the idea that he was actually dusted Also, so he did experience the blip and then wind up coming back to work for the power broker in order to go ahead and create those 20 vials, if you will. So this guy, Professor Wilfred Nagel, definitely an important person and worthy enough of killing off quickly. So that's one less thing you certainly have to worry about. He does mention the idea of Carly from the Flag Smashers being the one to have stolen all of their vials. So while he doesn't have possession of it, we clearly see that the Flag Smashers have used some of those vials for themselves already, right? And so Carly definitely has more that she's certainly willing to use. We do see them attacking the GRC, right? The Global Repatriation Council, in order to go ahead and take more food supplies, to go ahead, again, very much a Robin Hood mentality, give from the, take from the rich, give to the poor. But this time we see Carly maybe going a little bit off the edge and actually killing some people at the end of this episode. It does make me wonder if that's a little bit of the side effect of the super soldier serum that's kind of coming into play. Is she feeling a little bit more desperate now that somebody she loved and cared about has kind of been killed off, now that she's kind of dealing with this grief? You know what I mean? So while I haven't really been the biggest fan of the Flag Smashers sort of storyline, I mean, we've only seen about 3 episodes or so. They are at least giving the Carly character some importance in here as part of the Flag Smashers, and it's piquing my interest a little bit more now. I haven't really cared for her as a character or the Flag Smashers in any of these episodes until you start realizing that she's actually the one that had that stole the serum and has more to certainly do with them. A couple of other honorable mentions in here from this for this week that I thought was pretty neat. A Sokovia reference. I love the fact that Zemo even asks them, or at least gives us an update of what happened to Sokovia. The fact that it was still in shambles, right? That I believe he mentions the idea that the surrounding neighbors, the other countries, kind of just came into Sokovia and took everything that they certainly wanted to, right? So Sokovia is pretty much just a barren wasteland at this particular point in time. A memorial site, I think, is what Zemo actually referred to it as, and even takes a little bit of a jab at the Avengers, like, yeah, I bet you guys didn't even visit, right? Like you go into somebody's country, you practically destroy it with your actions, and none of you seemingly even care to go back and check on the people or check on the country that you helped kind of bring to rubble. You know what I mean? And talk about powerful stuff. I mean, this show really punches you in the face, I think, with like a realization of the impact that heroes tend to have in this world, and they're not holding back any punches. So I'm definitely showcasing the negatives and some of the positives of having these heroes, these big heroes in this world. You know what I mean? Even hearing some of the ways that like Sam and Bucky talk with one another about, once we're through this, I never want to see you again. Like, you guys are Avengers, or you guys never plan on teaming up again, right? Like, it feels as though at this point, like the Avengers have disbanded. Like everybody's kind of doing their own thing, right? Sam's doing his own thing, Bucky's doing his own thing. We see exactly what Wanda and Vision have kind of been up to, if you will, right? So it doesn't feel like there's somebody at an Avengers headquarters like keeping track of anybody right now, or knowing where everybody's at or what people are up to. It seems very much as though after Endgame, the team maybe sort of disbanded and they're just kind of doing their own thing. Maybe there's a huge fallout from everything that happened with Thanos, right? So I just find it really interesting at this particular point in time. But so yeah, I thought that was an interesting revelation from Zemo in regards to Sokovia. And then last but not least, the Wakanda reference actually coming back to bite Bucky in the ass. I love the idea that very early on in this episode, Sam brings up a great point. You think the Wakandans have forgot about the death of King T'Chaka? I don't think so. Like, that's a rhetorical question. No, they haven't, and they really have not. The fact that they literally have followed Bucky and Sam halfway across the world in order to go ahead and get Zemo back for themselves. Talk about, damn, I did not know I had no idea the Wakandans were even going to pop up in this. I believe this is the character Ayo, if I'm not mistaken, from the guards over at Wakanda. I believe that's who this certainly is, but I was not expecting her to pop up in here at all, or even have Wakanda references. But yeah, they want Zemo for themselves. I'm pretty sure they're pissed off at the White Wolf for even breaking him out. But if anybody's going to have their justice now, it's definitely going to be the Wakandans. So I find that rather interesting. Some great stuff here, guys. Great stuff this week. Daniel Brawl brought it as Zemo, continuing to show you why he's so damn good as a villain. great. He just brings great perspectives, great outside perspectives on the situations that we see our heroes in, that just really make you think not just of the characters differently, but how to view a lot of their actions kind of going forward. I just think it's brilliant to kind of see him working along with them. But give it time. Give it time. I'm pretty sure Zemo will certainly show his true colors at some point in time. And of course, Emily Van Camp coming back as a brand new, improved Sharon Carter. You know, I was really pushing for Sharon Carter to not necessarily be like a SHIELD agent again. Like, that's just, I don't want to say that's boring, but now that they have kind of given her a new personality, or improved it, I should certainly say, I'm curious to see what they do with her. I used to push for her to be like a Mockingbird, if you will, of the MCU, since we never really got one. I thought it would be cool if maybe Sharon Carter picked up that mantle again. But after this, no, I definitely don't want to see her as the Mockingbird. I really want to see her do something else for sure. So again, I don't know if Sharon Carter's undercover and doing something for another organization. Is she still technically really on the run from everybody, or is she the power broker after all is certainly said and done? I will be really fascinated to see how things wind up coming out. So great connections. Poor John Walker is having having issues as Captain America, getting spat on. Everybody just disrespects this man at this particular point in time. Nobody cares about him as Captain America. He just doesn't have that same oomph anymore. And even people all around the world clearly feel that way as well. So he's definitely not getting the respect that he certainly deserves. But yeah, I'm really impressed with what the showrunner continues to do. Great dialogue, great depth for our characters. And at the end of the day, guys, these are just my A+ opinions, but I always want to go ahead and know yours. What did you guys think about the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode number 3? If there's moments in this episode this week, or character moments, storyline details that I might have missed that you want to go ahead and further continue and discuss, please go ahead and do so in the live chat or in the comment section box below after this particular video winds up streaming, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, that's going to go ahead and do it for us here today. Listen, if you guys love our content, subscribe to our channel, hit that big subscribe button along with that bell notification, so when we do drop brand new videos, you will certainly go ahead and be notified. And of course, if you want to support the channel, give us that big thumbs up, guys. It definitely goes a long way. Hit that like button, and of course, follow us on social media, guys. But other than that, that's going to do it for me here. We'll certainly see you guys this upcoming Sunday for our live episode at noon of A+ Hero Report, where we break down all the Marvel, DC television, and movie news for you guys of the week. But until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you later. Bye.